And then just locate in your body where you feel the center is. Feeling the center now. Even if you have to close your eyes just a moment to feel where the center of the body is located now. So this is the grounding practice. Feeling weighty at the base and noticing where your center of gravity is. And then noticing the breath at the center. Maybe take a couple of deep breaths to feel the breath around that center place. Okay, good. All right, so we're going to take 3 big breaths together. Another really useful practice for soothing and calming the nervous system is to take some sighing. So I want you to take a deep breath in through the nose and open the mouth and sigh it out. And again, breathe in through the nose, open the mouth and You can even yawn if you like. One more time, breathe in. Open the mouth and sigh it out. Good. Okay, great. All right. Okay. So what I wanted to talk to you about tonight is what I'm noticing more and more in the clients that I'm working with and with the students who are coming to practice is a heightened sense of expectations about ourselves in the midst of this radical transformation that we're all part of and that we're all in. Never in my lifetime have I been through so much change all at once. And in the Yoga Dharma, one source of great suffering that Patanjali talked about is what's called parinama dukkha, which is change. A lot of change is a trigger for suffering or unease. So just the sheer shift, the sheer magnitude of shift is enough to have us unsettled and agitated. And out of this magnificent or huge shift has emerged what I'm hearing is a lot of expectation and a lot of future ideas about what could happen on the other side. Big ideas about how to live on the other side and how to live inside of this massive change that we're in. And although those big ideas can be very useful, sometimes I'm sensing that they're very premature. So I want to talk tonight about expectations and what the Buddha said about expectations, because it's something to watch in your own life. And remembering that insight practice is bringing that investigative aspect of mind to your internal world, to really investigate the patterns and habits of mind. And one of these patterns is expectations. Because what I'm noticing for myself and for clients and students is that some of these expectations are giving rise to agitation and unease, or what the Buddha called dukkha. And dukkha is a compound word in the Pali and the Sanskrit, same word, and it actually means contraction of the heart. Ka means the heart space, and du means contraction. So dukkha means contracted heart or contracted heart space. So unrealistic expectations can give rise to this sense of being contracted down, okay, of dukkha. So expectations I'm hearing, so some of them I wrote down that people have been telling me about, is ideas about I should be more organised right now. I should be able to concentrate better working from home. I need to be able to do homeschooling for my children. Yeah, I've even heard wild expectations about I should be making more delicious meals now that I've got more time on my hands. Someone even told me I really want to be baking bread from scratch. So none of these ideas of themselves are problematic, but I wonder about the weight of these kind of expectations that are emerging. And the Buddha really gave great instructions around what can arise from unrealistic expectations. And he used the word craving or tanha. In the Pali, the word tanha is translated as craving. And the root meaning of the word tanha means thirst. And it's sometimes expressed as the fever of unsatisfied longing. And in the second noble truth, the teachings he gave on the noble truths, the second noble truth is an explanation of where suffering arises from. The first noble truth is the truth or the task of turning towards our experience and our own unease or agitation. The second noble truth is where does this unease arise from? And he said in the second noble truth, it arises from this craving, this tanha, this unmet expectation or this unsatisfied longing that we have for things to be other than as we find them. So he's giving us a really good clue when we feel agitated or anxious or uneasy, that the root cause of that is this longing, this unrealistic longing or yearning or craving is one of the best words that I can think of for it. The craving is the source of our discontent. So if we are somehow unsatisfied or agitated or anxious, we could ask ourselves, where is the craving now? And in my experience, craving is the source of expectations. At the heart of expectations, unrealistic expectations, is this craving. And the Buddha described one of the cravings as the craving for what he called becoming. And I'll go into that a little bit now in a moment. But this craving for becoming gives rise to this sense of dukkha, a sense of unsatisfactoriness. And although many of our expectations are not obsessive, they still might be the driving force behind many of our actions in this isolation period that we're all sharing. And the object of craving can be very small, maybe even insignificant. But the power of craving, the Buddha said, is deeply rooted in our minds. It's almost like a primal energy. I want this. I want to be like this. I should be doing that. So we have a real opportunity to watch this movement of mind in our own minds that has us believing that we should be doing something that we're not. We should be more this or less that, doing more of this and less of that. This tanha for a different experience. And instances of craving and expectations like this are so familiar that I think they're mostly invisible to us. And the power of insight practice is that we're putting the lens of the mind, the mind under the lens of attention, so that what is invisible becomes visible. You know? There's so much, these expectations are so much a part of who we are that we don't even notice that they're deeply conditioned patterns until we bring the power of mindfulness to those expectations. So you might have noticed, or I've noticed myself, that there's been a lot of planning about, each time we're told we're going to have to stay in a little longer, then the mind comes up with more and more ideas about what could I do in this time. Planning can move into overdrive. And this has the mind moving into some imaginary future situation and engaging in all sorts of thoughts and ideas that are going to get us into our future. And I think a good part of our mental activity that I've heard in clients and students at the moment is this creating of a future self. I'm going to be doing that. I really want to make something, and I'm going to go over there. I'm going to become this. And this expectation can start to feed what I call the measuring mind. I'm not doing enough of this. I should be doing more of that. Because this isolation feels like we have a lot of time and space on our hands, it can really give rise to this sense of craving for becoming something other than who we are right now. Yeah. And the trap of these expectations that we might have about ourselves in isolation, in our isolation period, is it can inevitably bring agitation to the mind. And certain kinds of expectations are really seductive because they can masquerade, I think, as sort of Dharma aspirations. I was with a client the other day and she was expressing great disappointment in herself because she said, I really set it myself an intention to do yoga every day. Yeah? And she was suffering under the weight of this very wholesome Dharma expectation that she had, these wholesome intentions. So we've got to watch when a wholesome intention becomes the source of unrealistic expectation. So if you're not doing a yoga practice every day, or you're not baking your own bread, or you're not in the garden as you thought you might be, I want you to know that you're not failing. You're really not failing at all. I want you to let go of all overblown ideas about what you should be doing right now. To really soften the edges of this craving, that you should be fixing something in the house, that you should be painting a room, that you should be baking bread, that you should be on your bike more often. I've heard clients and students tell me that they want to learn the guitar, or someone told me, I really want this opportunity to help me learn to speak Spanish. And even as he was saying it, I could feel the weight of it in my own body. I thought, wow, these are big, big expectations. In and of themselves could be quite wholesome and useful and lovely. But I wonder what it's like to live under the weight of expectations. Maybe you've been hoping to ramp up your creative output, or even meditating more than often than not. Maybe you're placing unnecessary demands on yourself. And the Buddha said, be careful. Watch this clinging in the mind. Watch the razor's edge between wholesome intention and unrealistic expectation. Because at the root of feelings of guilt and shame are unrealistic expectations. And that is not what this practice is for. This practice is not to set ourselves up on a pedestal that we're going to fall off from. To not put more demands on our nervous system. So all this painting and baking and playing and learning can be just another activity of overdoing, overachieving, and overdoing and overachieving are very deeply patterned ways in our regular life. And this pattern of doing and striving and achieving is really a very particular way of keeping away from our inner life. When we create more and more ideas about what we should be doing, the purpose of all that doing and striving and efforting is to keep us away from our interior, from our emotional life. So when you're trying very hard to be productive in your isolation period, you can be right back at efforting, trying to achieve something that's really outside of what's possible. And all that keeps you away from your feeling life, from your sadness, from your confusion, from your fear. Doing keeps you away from feeling. Striving and expectations keep you away from your emotional life. And that is not the Dharma practice. So now more than ever, we need to abandon this performative striving and embrace the authentic. That what's right here now is what matters in our Dharma practice. Meeting ourselves just as we are. And the power of mindfulness practice is that we can begin to notice when a craving for becoming arises. Some unrealistic expectation or comparing ourselves to someone else. One of my friends was telling me how exhausted her mind is comparing herself with the productive output of other people in isolation. And it was really making her feel quite miserable. So noticing the craving, the striving, the comparing is a far more important project than any project you might have to do something in the kitchen or around the home. This project of watching the mind, receiving what's happening in the mind, bringing investigation to the yearning in the mind, that is the Dharma project right now. To put the mind under the light of attention in a really generous way, a really gentle and kind way, is to watch my own mind spinning a story about what I should be doing. Yeah. So I really encourage you to stop trying to be productive. Yeah. Maybe you've noticed that already and you've already taken the pressure off. You know, it really is okay if you are not dressed by midday. It's fundamentally okay if you haven't had a shower by noon. It's okay. It's really okay if you're waking in the middle of the night. It makes perfect sense. It's really okay if you ate a lot of Easter eggs. Cut yourself some slack. It's really okay. Maybe you missed another Zoom yoga class. It's really okay. The Buddha's instruction is to notice that yearning, that striving for becoming, and soften. To see that striving as the source of our suffering. And we bring these unrealistic expectations right into the center of our sitting meditation practice. You might see it as you sit and meditate. This striving, this efforting, maybe wanting the sit to be very calm or wanting your mind to be undistracted. And these are really unhelpful fantasies in our meditation life. And the instruction is the same again. See the source of agitation in a meditation practice as this craving or wanting your practice to be a certain way. Can you let go of the expectation that the practice is very calm, that your mind is undistracted? Can the mind and the heart just open up and be with all the movement that's going on when you sit? Yeah. All the utterly human expression of this restless body, this tired heart, this buzzing mind, to really open up and allow what's there with more and more welcoming mindfulness. That everything that's happening in your life, inward and outwardly, is welcome. Yeah. Can you get off your own back? Because these unhelpful fantasies are really a setup for failure and give rise to great disappointment in ourselves. So I wonder if you've already noticed that you are loosening the edges of your expectations. So some people are reporting to me that there has been a sort of softening in their expectations, and how sweet that is. What a relief it is when you loosen the clinging and the craving. Yeah. Because we don't need this isolation period to be another place where we beat ourselves up. We are experts at that already. Yeah. What we're being asked to do in this isolation period, apart from our work, is just sit and don't do anything. That is the instruction, the directive. Don't do anything. Don't go out. Don't strive. And that is very like a sitting meditation practice. We're being asked to sit down in our meditation practice and do nothing. Give up the doing. Give up the yearning, the striving, the efforting, the trying. So our sitting practice is a great teaching on how to live in this isolation period. It's to soften, to loosen, to ungrip, to release the binds of clinging. Yeah. So some of the places that I've noticed that I've loosened up my expectations, let me check the time, is I've noticed I'm having more picnic dinners. I'm not cooking wild and wonderful meals. I'm just opening the hummus and the crackers and slicing a tomato, loosening the edges of the expectations about a meal. I'm noticing that it's okay, I went with my daughter the other day to Officeworks, and she's wearing her pajamas in Officeworks. It's okay. We just loosen the ideas that it's okay to wander around Officeworks buying stationery in your pajamas. Give yourself a break from ideas about tidying up and growing and being productive. Maybe just lie down on the ground and have a yawn, have a stretch. Be soft with yourself. Be generous with yourself. You're probably more tired than you realize. You're probably more sad than you realize. There's a lot of letting go here. We've had to let go of so much, and that is exhausting. Grief is so tiring. So the medicine we need now is kindness and forgiveness. Expect your mind to be messy. Expect your concentration to be short. Have a nap. Take more time. Get out of bed more slowly. Whisper to yourself, may I be peaceful. May I accept myself just the way I am right now. Because the work on the Dharma path is to awaken from unhelpful notions of reality, the fantasy of how life should be, and come simply and easily and tenderly up close to your direct experience, and simply bow to the actuality of your human condition. Okay. So I want to thank you for your kind attention tonight, for loosening as much as you can, for putting down the weight of expectation, the weight of craving. Be soft with yourself, be tender with yourself. Bring that understanding to yourself, because when you do, then it can flow outwards so that there's more understanding and compassion and tenderness for those around you. Okay, so that's enough from me. Thank you so much for your kind listening, for showing up for the group, for yourself, for your softness, for your open-heartedness, for your dedication to the Dharma. Okay. Thank you. Good night. And I just want to, before I sign off and hand over back to Loretta, I want to give a shameless plug to an offering that I'm giving every Tuesday and Thursday morning at 8:30. I'm guiding a 20-minute morning meditation on Zoom, so a live guided meditation practice every Tuesday and Thursday morning. It's not through the Melbourne Insight website, it's through my own Zoom meeting. You can go to my website, which is angelamcgee.com.au, and there's a Zoom link there, and anyone is welcome at any time. You don't need to book, there's no registration. You just jump on Tuesday or Thursday morning, whatever suits you, for a 20-minute guided practice with me. And it's just another small community that's sitting together in a way just to start the day with more sanity, to really just settle a nervous system and let the mind and heart and body just open up. You can do it lying in bed, sitting in bed. So that's just an offering I'm giving at the moment, if you'd like to join me on any Tuesday and Thursday morning. Okay, time for me to mute myself and pass you back to Loretta.